I'm telling.
What's
What's
up, Mr.
up?
Fox?
How you doing?
All right, man. All right.
Got a good one in store for you. Before we get started, I want to make sure we put this out there. Gents Making Sense on YouTube, at Gents Making Sense on YouTube. Please go and view. We're getting a lot of comments, a lot of likes. We're putting the topics out there that we think matter to you as Black men and Americans in general. Because at this point in time, we are in a situation where it's not only hurting Black men, it's hurting Americans in general and stuff. So go out there, see our stuff, like, subscribe. We're hitting milestones every day, every week. We're gonna be over 100,000 views this week. We should go over 100,000 views, and that should be exciting for everybody and everything.
Yes,
So
sir.
make sure you look us up and everything. So we're gonna get started with a good show today. The title of the show is Why the 14th Amendment Still Matters for Black Men and for America. America loves to talk about freedom, but freedom without protection is just a slogan. And for Black men, protection has never been guaranteed. It had to be in writing. I'm sorry. It had to be written, fought for, and defended. And last week, we saw exactly why that protection still matters. Across the country, lawmakers push new voting restrictions from cutting. I'm going to go back on that. It ain't just across the country. It was down south mostly. Let's just
Yep.
be real. It was
Yep.
down south. The very reason why we have voting right is the reason why all these things changed last week. They're cutting early voting days to tightening ID rules to closing polls location in predominantly Black neighborhoods. Civil rights groups say their moves could disproportionately proportionally affect Black voters. Listeners should confirm the details with trusted sources, but the pattern is familiar. It's a reminder that the 14th Amendment isn't history, it's right now. Welcome back to Gents Making Sense.
Yeah, we got a good one tonight, man. What's good, family? It's your boy Suleiman, and yeah, let's wait. Excuse me. Last week was a wake-up call. Several states advanced or passed measures that voting rights advocates say could make it harder for people, especially Black folks, to cast a ballot. Again, check trusted sources for the specifics in your state.
And that's why today's episode matters, because the 14th Amendment is the constitutional backbone for challenging these kind of restrictions. It's the reason these laws can be taken to court. It's the reason we even have a legal argument for fairness. We had a congressman say down in I think it was Mississippi or
Alabama.
Alabama,
Alabama.
say that's next. We're gonna get rid of the 14th Amendment.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. We gonna talk about the 14th Amendment and what it actually says. Let's break it down plain. The 14th Amendment has three major parts: birthright citizenship. You've seen the attack on that already. Equal protection under the law. You've seen an attack on that already. Due process. That's it.
And here's the connection to last week. When states pass laws that disproportionately burden one group, like Black voters, civil rights groups often challenge those laws under equal protection. And before you move on, I just wanted to say one thing to follow up with that. So for all of you, Black, brown coalition garbage people that want to talk about the coalition, the 14th Amendment was written for people coming out of slavery. And that's the purpose for it. So all the rights that you people have, military guys that go overseas and marry these people who aren't Americans, or have children by these ladies that aren't Americans, and they're born in the United States, you can thank Black people for that. That's the reason why you can do that, and your child is automatically a citizen. So it was ratified in 1868, right after the Civil War, and basically rights for formerly enslaved people to clarify U.S. citizenship. Anyone born or naturalized in the United States is automatically a citizen. Equal protection under the walls, which means that states cannot discriminate against you based upon your color. Due process, like my podcast partner just said, those three things, apportionment and voting. States that deny voting rights to eligible male citizens may have reduced representation in Congress. That is what the 14th Amendment does. There can be punishment to states that don't treat people the same way. You can thank Black people for that. That would not be part of the United States Constitution if it wasn't for the civil rights that Black folks push for in this country. Disqualification for rebellion and debt. People who engage in rebellion against the United States cannot hold office unless Congress allows it. So all the people that sacked the Congress, right, a few years ago on January 6th, all those people should never be able to run for the United States Congress. But people like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and all their ilk are trying to change the law so that people can try to overthrow our government and then still allow them to come in and be part of that government. Well, people need to wake up. That's what the 14th Amendment is. And you got an idiot down in Alabama talking about we should eliminate the 14th Amendment. So I just wanted to put that out there. I was looking
Well,
that up for the last couple of days, and people don't recognize what some of these idiots are actually talking about. It's not going to just affect Black people. All you racists out there and all you people that are perfectly fine with Black folks being treated differently, it's not going to just affect us. It's going to affect you too. All of you that are married to people who aren't Americans, people go out and marry, go to Asia and marry people, or have Spanish wives and European wives, and they're not Americans. That means your child is not going to be a citizen when she gives birth, whether it's in the United States or her home country. Go ahead.
yep, exactly. The 14th Amendment is the reason courts can even ask these questions.
Right.
Is the law treating people fairly? And I don't know what they such in a got their panties in a bunch for. That statement said, is the law treating people fairly? It's not saying is the law treating Black people or African American people fairly. So don't be stuck on stupid. Don't vote against your own
Self-interest.
interests and stuff, self-interest and stuff. Second segment, take us there, Suleiman.
Yeah, why it matters specifically to Black men. Let's talk about why this amendment hits home for us as Black men.
First, equal protection is the foundation of every civil rights victory. And last week, voting rights fight shows we still need it. Advocates argue that closing polling places in Black neighborhoods or limiting early voting disproportionately affects Black men who work long hours or rely on public transportation. Listeners should check local reporting for details, but the pattern is consistent with past cases.
Second, it protects our citizenship and our political power. After the Civil War, states tried to deny Black men citizenships. Imagine that. Imagine that. Today, some voting restrictions echo that same energy, not in name, but in impact.
Third, it's the backbone of fighting discriminatory policing and sentencing. And fourth, voting. When states purge voter rolls or redraw districts in ways that weaken Black political power, the 14th Amendment is the tool used to challenge it. Last week, events proved that fighting isn't theoretically. It is not theoretical.
Right. Moving along.
Okay, why it matters to all Americans, even though it was written to protect formerly enslaved people, like you said, Mr. Suleiman put together a tutorial on why it was put together, but who it protects. So even though it was written to protect formerly enslaved people, the 14th Amendment now protects everybody.
Right. And last week's voting rights news isn't just a Black issue. Civil rights groups warn that these restrictions could affect students, seniors, royal voters, and low income communities of all backgrounds. So, again,
Yeah.
all of you people who talk about the Black, Brown,
Yeah.
and Poor People Coalition, those same people voted against their self interest when they elected this president. And this is the result of you going into the voting booth and voting the way you voted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we're gonna stick on that for a little while. And when it says it named all those people, it says students. Just a couple months ago, students at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, North Carolina, staged a march because they closed the polls near their university, and the nearest polls were miles away.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just hatred. I don't know what Bible these people read and everything, but that's just hatred. You're gonna make now. First of all, you tell these students you need to go to college. You need to build yourself a better life. But you go to college, and now you're telling them, well, you can go to college, but we don't want you to vote. We don't want to be now. They don't say we don't want you to vote. Now I'll take that back before some of you say he a reason. No, they're saying we're gonna make it harder for you to vote, and therefore maybe you'll decide to sit it out because you don't want to make that long trip downtown and everything.
Hmm.
That's just one example of it. We can name a whole bunch of them, just like Georgia, their governor, who I think has done some great things for Georgia in the past. He stood up against Donald Trump, even though he votes with Donald Trump whenever it's something dealing with states' rights and stuff. But he stood up against him. He's done some good things for uh this yesterday. He decided to call a special assembly of the congressmen and senators in the state so that they can work on redistricting. So, in this special session is the day after the what you call it, the vote where you find out who's going to be your representative.
Oh, you talking about the
See, it just
yeah,
left my
I know,
mind.
right?
Yeah, you got two old men up here. Well, one, I'll speak for myself. It's the primaries. There you go. It's the primary. So a day after the primary, they're gonna go in and try to change the rules on voting. I remember there was a time where you couldn't do none of this stuff 90 days before voting time. So they're running against the clock to try to get all these things in. And last week at my church service, the pastor talked about vultures and how something is dead or dying because you see these vultures circling around, circling around. They're always around. And most people know when you see vultures, death is near or is already there because they're not there for nothing. So he likened southern states to vultures. They see the voting right is dying, if not already dead, and they're just circling around, pecking at it, pecking at it, pecking at it till they eat it all up. And I thought that was a good analogy of what's going on right now. The South is really on one, and they're moving fast. And if you, as a black man, as a black person, even as a white person, didn't think this shit was real, you know it now. You can see what's happening. It's in your face. It's right in your face. One of the things that he signed into law this week, our governor, was he changed the rules on how people vote in the 5 or 6 largest black populated counties in Georgia. So all the other counties can have partisan voting. These counties, partisan voting mean Republican Democrats. You have go through a primary and then you have a general election. In these states, he don't want partisan voting. He want bipartisan voting. Meaning you stick all these people in one hat and the top two comes out.
Hmm.
And you don't have to tell what your affiliation is. Crazy. So these are just some of the things that are happening by the stuff we're talking about in this week's Suleiman just got through saying and everything. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So you know, I'm in the wrong
No,
one.
we go when the 14th Amendment is weak and black people feel it
Oh,
first, but
and okay,
everybody feel it eventually. I got lost there.
okay. Well, go
Yeah.
ahead, fill you.
Yeah, we'll go to segment 4 now.
All right, let's get real. The 14th Amendment is being tested today through voting restrictions, gerrymandering, debates about birthright citizenship, limits on affirmative action, policing practices, attempts to weaken federal civil rights protections. You
Let's
know,
talk about the policing. Don't worry about it. I'll go into yours. let's talk about the policing practice. That's important because the president and his administration are in the process of putting together a whole bunch of uh, uh, law enforcement, be it FBI, ACE, or whoever, so that they can be at polling places. Now, America has always had people of interest at polling places, mainly lawyers, to make sure that polling is going properly. And there's nobody in that area that are trying to scare people from voting or got their paraphernalia out there. You cannot, I forgot the distance, you got to be away from the poll to have your election paraphernalia out there. But you always have had lawyers for both parties, Republican and Democrats, that go to polling places. But if the Trump administration do what they're saying they're going to do, this would be the first time in a long time that you've seen law enforcement at polling places. And I believe that that is mainly to scare people from coming out to the polls. And I just don't see us as black people being scared to come at a poll because of police is there. If you're a criminal, maybe so, but most black people, that ain't gonna scare 'em. What you
Yeah,
think?
that's not gonna scare black folks. We've been through this before. But I mean, that's not the point. I mean, the point is that they know they can't win with their policy, which is why the Supreme Court is overturning all the voting rights because they know what's gonna happen. The conservative Supreme Court knew exactly what was gonna happen when they gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And you see it. You see it in Mississippi. You see it in Georgia. You see it in Arkansas. You see it in Tennessee. I mean, what's Tennessee do? Tennessee cancels the uh, 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 race, and then they go and divide up Memphis, which is the largest black uh, uh, city in
Yeah,
Tennessee, and then you go right to
exactly,
Memphis
exactly.
and
Yes,
divide up Memphis, so you can
just
dilute the black power in the largest black city in the state of Tennessee.
blatantly in your face.
Right. And I'm like, in the Supreme Court, what, you don't think that's gonna happen? You don't think that was gonna happen, Clarence Thomas,
We knew it was gonna.
John Roberts? You didn't think that was gonna happen? I call him Jim Crow Roberts because
Yeah,
that's what he is.
he disappointed me. At first, I thought he was gonna be a good Chief Justice. He disappoints me to no end, y'all. These people are not following the law. They take precedents. The Supreme Court used to go off precedents. That's what they used to do, base their most cases on. Let's see what the precedence is. Man, they just busting through precedents like it ain't nothing.
No,
They're
no,
making
because they're
their
trying
own
to
rule.
right, they're trying to put everything back, all the progressive and all the civil rights that have been accomplished over the last 60 years. Their intention is to roll all of that back. Because
And
they can't win. They know they can't
yeah.
win with their policies, so they cheat. Like I've always said, they can't win with their policies, so they cheat.
Yeah, and the key word I've heard lately, and that I will use from now on for a little while anyway, is reconstructionist.
Yeah.
These people are reconstructionists. They're trying to reconstruct the past and put black people in their place. Just let's do plain speak here.
Mhm,
They're trying to reconstruct the past and put black people in their place. That's
mhm.
what they're trying to do. There's many examples of all this, and I'm gonna read your part here. And last week was a perfect example. Several states advanced measurements like Memphis. Civil rights groups say could reduce access to the ballot. Some groups argue these laws could violate the 14th Amendment because they disproportionately impact certain communities. And we're gonna tell you this all through this podcast today is as a listener, you should do your due diligence and verify the details with trusted sources. But the broader trend is very clear on what they're trying to do. They're doing it in New Orleans also. There was a constituent that went before the before a congressional hearing, and he let and if I could find it, I would try to pull it up, but he let them have it in Louisiana. He said, your priorities are misguided, misled, and everything. He said, you're in the bottom 10% of every statistic that matters. bottom 10% in education, bottom 10% in earnings, bottom 10% in security, bottom 10% in education, like I said, bottom 10% in clean air, bottom 10% in they're in the bottom 10% of everything, but yet and still, they can call a special legislation session so that they can split up New Orleans and dilute that vote just like they did in Memphis. And it take those people got a special place in hell for them. I believe when you just ignore what your constituents are going through, the pain they're going through constantly. Now, Louisiana has been under and let me put this in context too. Louisiana has been under Republican rule forever, for as long as I've been alive, and I've been alive for a long time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the president said Baltimore was a shithole city, and it was nasty. Baltimore is not in the Maryland is not in the bottom 10% of education, and not in the bottom 10% of none of those stats and everything. But you don't need stats to see it. You got a Republican Party that's been running that country into the ground, making sure that their families are rich and stay rich, building prisons every day almost, building prisons and imprisoning black men for free labor. If we can't have slavery, we'll put them in prison and still have our slavery one way or the other. I think it's really, they should be embarrassed, but I know they're not.
No. No, and I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's why that's why I always complain, or I highlight a lot of, people in our community who are taking money down to Louisiana. Why are we opening up movie production companies in Louisiana? And I mean, what I was going to say at the end of the thing, well, I'll just wait to the end. But moving along to segment 5, what black men should take from this. So, what does this mean for us particularly?
First, know your rights. First and foremost, know your rights. The 14th Amendment is not abstract. It is your shield, especially when voting access is challenged.
Second, understand that attacks on voting rights and access are attacks on your political power, and the 14th Amendment is the tool used to fight back.
Third, voting advocacy and civic engagement are not optional. Last week showed that the fight for equal access to the ballot is ongoing. Our church is on Saturday. We are pairing with another church in Atlanta, and we've got a bus, and we're going down to Selma, Alabama, and protest against the attack on the voting rights bill and everything. Be an advocate for the community. Just don't sit back and let these people do you in, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't. Young people, the older people like myself, Suleiman, and other older people have already fought, and some of us died for this state. The voting right was written in what year, Suleiman? I see.
1964.
1964.
I'm
That
sorry.
ain't too
My
long.
apologies. I think it was 1965.
1965. That's not too long ago. So we say history, but this is present day.
You look at the history. I tell people all the time is that I was the first person born in my family with full rights as a U.S. citizen. We're not talking about somebody 110 years ago, 120 years ago. I was born after 1965. My brothers and sisters were born before 1965.
Right.
So they didn't have their voting rights as everybody else in this country had. I was the first person in my family born with my full rights as a U.S. citizen, the same rights as everybody else had. So it ain't ancient history. It's right around the corner. I'm still
Yep.
living proof of what this country has done and is still is trying to do again to our people.
Yep. Yep. So true. So this is real stuff, and we need the young people to step up. We really do. We're gonna because I know you got on another note that's gonna be really great. I have on another note that I think is gonna be great, and we're gonna it might be a little long, so we're gonna go ahead and close this out and talk to you about what we talked to you about today. Reinforce the things that we've said so you will understand, and I hope we've clarified some of this for you, our listeners and everything. The 14th Amendment is more than a law, it's a promise that Black men are citizens, a promise that our lives have value, a promise that America must answer to its own ideals. Last week reminded us that this promise still needs to be defended.
Family, stay informed, stay engaged, stay grounded. Check trusted sources for updates on voting laws in your state. The fight for equal protection didn't end in 1868. It continues every day.
We're not going to do that right now. We're going to go into on another note. You want to start it off? I'll go ahead and start mine off. So I know yours is going to be very important and everything. Mine is important too, but I'm going to,
I'll go first and you can
okay.
close it out.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
not gonna be that long. It's just, I was listening to something on YouTube and I won't say who the sister is. And it was about the voting rights and I think Don Lemon and Joy Reid and a couple other, prominent Black folks in our community said that one of the ways that we can fight back is to get some of our athletes and to get some of our entertainers to start stepping up. They're the ones that have influence. These people that are doing this, the only thing they care about is money and their life. We're not advocating anyone taking anyone's life, but what we're saying is that you can affect people's money. Our athletes can affect money. Moms and dads, stop sending your kids to Louisiana. Stop sending your kids to University of Georgia. Stop sending your kids to University of Mississippi. Stop sending your kids to University of Arkansas. Our entertainers, Tyler Perry, 50 Cent. Why are you going down to Louisiana and opening up production companies?
Don't forget Cat Williams. He's in
Cat
Alabama.
Williams, yeah, why are you guys going down there to do that? That's not helping us, not helping our cause. But I heard this sister and they're saying, oh, well, that's not their responsibility. It is their responsibility. I mean, we need to read history. We could talk about Harry Belafonte. We can talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, excuse me. We could talk about, what's the tennis player? I can't think of his name. Arthur
Arthur
Ashe.
Ashe.
Arthur Ashe wouldn't play at the US Open unless they allow Black folks to come in and watch him play. There's a whole host of Black athletes and entertainers and people in the limelight of our career. Eartha Kitt. I could just continue to name a bunch of them that actually protested and walked with Dr. King and folks like that and said they wouldn't play in movies or perform at certain locations. Uh, Gentleman down in Georgia, who's y'all's state song is he wrote, Ray Charles. Ray Charles. People like that protested, and we have the ability. You think that Louisiana State University football would be worth a dime if they didn't have Black ball players? You think their basketball team would be worth anything without Black ball players? That's how you institute change, is by getting them to recognize that we're going to take your entertainment away from you. We're not going to just be your entertainment. You're going to give us the same rights as you give other people. The civil rights movement with the bus boycott. Did you think that the southern states would change anything down there if they didn't realize that they were going to lose money and that Black folks weren't going to come work for them, that they would have to clean their own floors and raise their own bratty children? That's how it happened, is because we decided that we were going to give up something of ours to ensure that the rest of us survive. So to that young lady on the YouTube that I was watching, again, I'm not going to bring up her name, stop that. Yes, we do need to do this. This is what we have that can hurt them. You can send your kid all over the place. Send them to USC or UCLA or somewhere up in the Northeast. Sure, it may not be the best football team in the country, but they will become better because our ball players are going to be going up there to play. And let Louisiana and Mississippi and Arkansas play with all white ball players, and let's see how many championships they win. So I'll close it out with that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to do highlight people like Kerry Washington that's out there every day fighting for people like us. She just did an op-ed on Instagram about the 14th Amendment and how we as young Black women and young Black men need to be 2 times as better as they are just to get half the uh, half the notification, half the uh, 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 half the God, I
The
can't
credit.
credit, yeah, as they get. But my on another note is about somebody that you've been very critical of on our podcast, and that I just heard something about this week, and it just goes to show you how stupid, Nicki Minaj. She had the nerve to say, and I'm gonna tell you how selfish this is, and we just got through talking about selfish superstars and people like that. She said now you gotta understand that she supported Hillary Clinton. She says she didn't like Barack Obama because Jay-Z liked Barack Obama, and she don't like Jay-Z. She think that Jay-Z hurt Barack Obama. How did Jay-Z hurt Barack Obama? And Barack Obama is a two-time president with some of the highest rating as a president. So he didn't hurt him. But that just go to show that she's making a decision off selfishness. And then this the straw that broke the camel's back for me is she has liked Donald Trump for a long time, but she didn't want to come out and say it because she don't want to hurt her money like it's hurting right now. She's not making half the amount of money she used to make. But she said that they were calling in, and I forget what you call it when they call the police and tell them there's something going on at your house and police comes out to your house.
Well, swine.
Yeah, swatting, saying that her house was getting squatted in California, and they did it on several occasions. And she reached out to talk to Gavin Newsom, and he never followed up on it. Okay, let that sink in first. Okay, next. So, a local politician that happened to be a Republican that's normally on Fox News reached out to her and said this shouldn't be happening to you, and they should be doing something about it. So this person went and got a private security firm and helped her out with security. And Donald Trump chimed in. So that's why they cared about her. Gavin Newsom didn't care about her. Now, I said hold that right there for one reason. If somebody swat your house, are you going to call the governor of Virginia? It's like, think, uh, somebody on the radio said it's like your cable goes out and somebody unplugged the cable, but instead of calling the local cable company, you try to call the president of Spectrum or AT&T. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. You call the governor because your house got swatted, and instead of going to local law enforcement, instead of going to the mayor of whatever city you in, you go to the governor and think he has time to worry about what's going on with your house. Crazy. And that people always say stuff like that when they need an excuse to do what they really want to do. And to me, that was her excuse to do what she really wanted to do. Well, she got to lay in it now. Her and all these other stars that are backing Donald Trump, they got to lay in it, and they're going to have to
And
lay
listen,
in it for a
I,
long time.
I got no sympathy for her. You know what, Nicki Minaj, go move to a MAGA state. Go down to Alabama or Louisiana or Mississippi and see how they treat you down there. She living in California because she wants to make the money, because that's where you make money.
Yeah,
So go
exactly.
move to the other states.
Yeah,
Move to
talk
one
about
of our right.
talk
Move to
about
one of our
I pay taxes. You ain't the only damn one that pay taxes. Good grief. Come on.
She broke. She did what she
Selfish.
did because she was broke. She was broke and she wanted her brother or whoever has those charges against him for, child molesting charges. She
No,
right, she
that's
wanted them dropped.
no, that I think. Well, she got two problems. First of all, her brother, then her husband. She had to get him
Right.
out of prison too. So it's just
And third, which is the most important thing, is she's not American. So I don't care what Nicki Minaj has to say. Go back to Trinidad and Tobago and live there because that's where you're from. You're a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. You're not a citizen of the United States. So we don't care what you say. Go back to
yeah,
your country.
really don't care at all. She was on TV showing a gold card that Donald Trump gave her. Girl, as soon as he get out of office, that gold card won't be worth the money he printed it on.
And see, that's what I always say about that's what I say about, entertainers and people like that, is everything is a grift. It's always about making more money. I mean, I can't remember, I don't think it was 50 Cent, but there was someone rapper on TV the other day that was talking about Donald Trump's inauguration, wanted to pay him $500,000 come and perform. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, Black folks, why are y'all selling yourselves for such cheap amounts of money?
That
I
was
mean, your dignity
Snoop
is
Dogg.
only worth a few $100,000?
That was Snoop.
Seriously? I mean, if you gonna roll over and turncoat and turn your back on your community, at least get some significant change behind it. $500,000? Come on, after taxes, you right back at where you were.
Yep, yep.
So anyway,
Um, I knew you would enjoy that bit of information. I just
yeah,
can't believe these people are so stupid. That's the problem I got.
I can, man, because the reality is, man, is that a lot of people in this country, man, have lost. They have no values, they have no morals, they have no integrity. And once you lose those three, there's nothing else there's nothing that you won't do. And that's where we are right now. We're essentially in the wild, wild west where people will do anything
Yeah,
as long as it gets them a little bit of money or a little bit of bank, to live through the next day. And that's why they're so easily purchased. That's why they're so easily you become turncoats. That's why you have the Nicki Minaj's, you have the Stephen A. Smiths, is because if they give them money, they're willing to say anything.
just shake my head, and say, "So be."
Yep.
So be it. So, thanks a lot, y'all, for tuning in this week. Another great show this week. Until next week, stand tall, speak the truth, and move like your ancestors invested in you.
Yes, sir,
Good
man.
night.
Thanks, man. It's
Thanks
always
a lot.
good, man. We'll see you guys next week.
Good.